This is Michael Kowalski, writer and performer of Mothman, True Story, and you are listening to the Unbelievers podcast. I know you wouldn't like it.
There were several groups. One of the principal ones was the reptilians from the Orion complex.
Without any exaggeration, it was like being on fire inside.
Rats were eating you up inside.
This stuff was in my mouth. It felt like it was 500 degrees. It was unbelievably hot.
My first question would be, were you a member of the Church of Satan, a card-carrying member of the Church of Satan? I don't understand.
There's always an argument for everything. You know, just because somebody can fake something doesn't necessarily mean it's real.
And we found a life form. And that's when I started shitting my pants.
So for the person who called, I am carrying an alien.
An alien baby. We covered right here, okay?
Okay.
Something is happening. What is it? That's the question. So do UFOs exist? It depends on what you mean exist.
The term paranormal is a very inclusive term. It is a field that is vast and varied. Aliens, ghosts, ESP, psychics, mentalists, cryptids, UFOs, channelers, and much, much more can all be lumped in under this paranormal banner of strangeness. But how does anyone know what is real and what is BS? Well, lucky for us, a famous magician rose to the challenge in the 1970s and made it his life's mission to investigate the paranormal in the hopes of proving that the unexplained was real or fake. Tonight, join us as we discuss the life of an exceptional man with the uncanny ability to seek out the suspicious claims of psychics, channelers, faith healers, and even magnet people and expose them for the hucksters they truly are. So hide those wishing machines and unbend those spoons, because we are talking the greatest investigator and debunker the world has ever seen. The one, the only, the amazing Randi. Right here on the program, we continue to learn to unlearn everything you know. Hello and welcome to the Unbelievers podcast. I'm your host, Russ Ryan, and joining me tonight is my co-host in California, Drea Mora. Hello, Drea.
Hello.
And in New York City, our soundboard engineer and producer, Rob Oakey.
Okay.
What's up, guys?
Man, I forgot to give you your setup. Oh, and you were all ready for it, too. Oh, man.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little off my game. I think we're all going to be a little bit. We're actually doing this live on a video stream right now as we're just recording our episode. So if we seem a little off, I don't know.
Live on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/theunbelieverspodcast.
Wild.
Yeah.
This is bizarre.
Go follow us.
Yeah, sure. Get that plug out of the way. So let's just get into it because we got a fun one tonight, and I can't wait to get into it. We're talking about a hero of mine. Let's get into it now. The Amazing Randi.
Stripper magician, a wonderful addition to parties and funerals, also police suspicion. I think there's something shiny behind your ear. I can also make your daughter's virginity disappear. Take a look at my magic stick. It makes dreams come true with just one lick. Flick, pulling out these scarves like I pull out of your daughter. I'm a magic man, a real Harry Potter.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Oh, my God.
Of course, stripper magician from Carolyn Costner. I love that song. So if we're going to talk magicians, I don't know. She wanted to hear that song, so.
It's a good excuse.
That was good. I wasn't expecting that. I like it.
It always is. She's great. But that's not what we're talking about. Tonight, we are discussing a very prominent, important figure in the world of the paranormal, and that is a man named James Randi, also known as the Amazing Randi. Amazing Randi is most known for being the first and maybe only ever celebrity debunker as far as this paranormal world that we're into goes. Philip Glass, he would qualify for that as well. I think he fits in as a high level. But I would say that this man that we're going to talk about tonight, this is the number one guy. And Philip Glass, he is no Amazing Randi.
Oh, hell no. Randy's cool. Randy's really cool.
He's the coolest.
He is. He's great. And I'll tell you a little bit about his life before we get into our subject. But James Randi was born in Canada in 1928, and at the age of 17, he was a young man who was attracted to magic, particularly after seeing the famed magician Harry Blackstone. And he also read books on conjuring before he even graduated high school. After that, he left forever and joined a carnival as a conjurer and magician and became a well-known magical act. And a lot of his style of magic, he kind of modeled himself after Houdini-style escapism. He tried to break a lot of Houdini's records, like he was submerged in a coffin. He tried to do it longer than him, or being locked in jail cells. And this is a really fun thing I learned. He was even a very early paranormal radio host.
Really?
From 1967 to 1968, he hosted the Amazing Randi show, where he had guests that defended paranormal claims. I think that's some good stuff, and
that's really cool.
Yeah,
we need more of that.
It makes perfect sense that he was a big Houdini fan, because all of his stuff is like very Houdini-esque, and even just like his whole aura is very Houdini-esque.
It is, and even if you think about Houdini's later life and how his life will turn, also very Houdini-like. But so at this time, when he's doing this radio show, this is 1968. Like we said, he lived a really incredible life, but it gets even better. In 1972, his career path would change, and that was mostly due to a guy named Uri Geller. I'm sure you guys have heard of Uri Geller.
Oh,
Uri
yeah.
Geller.
Yeah.
Fucking Magneto.
Spoon guy,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Of course. Bending the spoon. So Randi is a longtime mentalist and magician and conjurer. He would always let the audience know that he was lying, that this was a trick and a lie, but a lie for entertainment. But the problem was that not everyone was saying these kind of things about these quote-unquote abilities, and that's when the Amazing Randi goes from his escapist magician to debunker of paranormal BS, and it all starts with that Uri Geller, guys. So we're going to get in a little intro now to Uri Geller, and this is from 1970s TV appearance with some commentary in there from Amazing Randi.
He's been denounced by some people as a magician, and certainly he's a showman. He gives demonstrations all over the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, Uri Geller.
He said his name was Uri Geller. The name didn't mean a thing to me. He's come to the attention of Stanford Research Institute, and the scientists there are apparently quite convinced that he has psychic powers.
What I do is telepathy, and that is, as everybody knows, is receiving thoughts and passing thoughts. And then I have the other power, which I read that they call psychokinesis, and that is moving or bending or breaking objects. It's cracking. I feel it under my fingers. See how gently it goes? It's like it's becoming like plastic. And it's very.
And there it is, the fourth break. So that is Uri Geller, and he's on a show, and he's breaking spoons with his abilities, and he claims he's able to change the makeup of metal and bend it at his will. Incredible claim, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is incredible.
It's weird that, it was spoons specifically. I'm like, yeah, he can, make metal like plastic, but can he make plastic like metal?
Ooh.
Right.
Ooh,
Dude,
that would be
make
magical.
some money. And there's a lot of rubbing going on with a lot of these weirdos.
If you haven't ever seen Uri Geller do his thing, I would look it up on YouTube now. He does this
rubbing.
He does this thing like he just rubs it with his finger, and he's always like, it's plastic. Look, it's plastic. It's turning into plastic. And you're like, all right, dude, we get it. It's plastic.
After watching this, I want to learn it. But so I got to ask you. So why is he getting so much attention at this time? Surely there is like 1,000 new age weirdos in the early 70s. These guys are everywhere. Why is this guy on TV? You could have pulled any weirdo up there, but the reason he was on television is because he was taken to something called the SRI, the Stanford Research Institute, and he was given a battery of tests to prove his abilities, and inevitably he passed. The test he was subjected to including guessing dice in a box. Another one, they had these 10 little cylindrical containers, and he could guess which one either had a metal ball. They look like little salt shakers, and he'd fill it with water, and he could find it every time. And of course, that ability that he's best known for, bending spoons, he was tested at the Stanford Research Institute. It was sometimes forks and keys too. He could just bend the metal.
Yeah.
So
he was a big key bender guy too. Everybody loved to have their keys bent by him.
Why was that so impressive too?
It's like, look, I don't want my ex coming back to my house. Can you please bend this key so he can't get in?
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun party trick too. Like instead of like an animal balloon animal dude. He's like he just bends metal instead into a shape of a giraffe.
I'm not even going to claim that I act like I know how he's doing it either, because when you watch it, it is pretty incredible looking. It's pretty it looks like I mean, if you feel your ring, a ring is hard. Like, try to bend a ring with your hand and it's difficult. So
I tore a ring once, but that's because I fell and it tore on this metal fence silver bends, but it hurts. So yeah, it's pretty amazing that he can do this without hurting himself.
Yeah, it's so amazing that he impressed all these scientists at this Stanford Research Institute. And so you got to ask, though, just because so one weirdo gets through this, so how does his fame rise? Now we're going to hear from a man named Ray Hyman, an expert expert experimental psychologist.
In 1972, I got a call from Colonel Austin Kibler of the Defense Department, then acting head of ARPA, as it was called, Advanced Research Projects Agency. He says, could you drop everything you're doing and go to Stanford Research Institute? There's a psychic down here, and if he can do what they claim he can do, we ought to be involved, because the Russians have a big program now going using what they call warfare.
Now, Targ put off the two scientists who were in residence there at the time for quite a pair. First of all, Targ is legally blind, and he was one of the observers. Duh.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, did I hear that right?
So there's a blind guy who's watching over Uri Geller trying to prove that telekinesis and all these other techno-knowledges is real. And also, the government is taking notice because there are Russians working on the same thing. So this is a lot of that that Cold War psyop psychologist race that was going on. But I did like soundboard clip 1 for tonight, because this might come in handy. We can just say, duh.
Da.
Now, was that duh or was it da?
Is that yes in German?
Duh. No, it's duh.
Oh, right.
That's the Amazing Randi. All right, getting on the soundboard off the bat.
Sorry. Well, I can see how that kind of makes it a little bit more valid when the government takes interest because of police sometimes turning to psychics to help them solve cases.
It reminds me of The Men Who Stare at Goats. You remember that movie?
Oh,
that
was a good movie.
Yeah, he could have been thrown in there and been completely useless. But now we're gonna hear if Uri Geller can fool these psychologists from The Amazing Randi.
He fooled the pants off them. It was astonishing. They saw Nobel Prizes on the horizon, because if you discovered there really were psychic powers, that would certainly bring you a Nobel Prize or two.
When I made my report to the government that Geller was complete fraud, Targ and Puthoff realized they were not going to get the money from the government. So they took Geller on a tour to get publicity for him and to raise some private money to do the research with him.
I've been reading a lot of research on him from the Stanford Research Institute and from the science section of the New York Times. A lot of publicity on this gentleman whose name is Uri, U-R-I, Uri Geller. And we hope we're going to see some rather astounding things tonight. Would you welcome, please, Uri Geller.
Oh, did you hear it? Johnny Carson there. That's how big time he got immediately. They realized they're not going to win these Nobel Prizes, that this is going to be super debunked easily. So they let's hit the talk show circuit.
I mean, yeah, and again, it's just one of those, it validates it now. I mean, you get all kinds of people up on these TV shows nowadays that are, people don't believe. I mean, look at all these shows, all these paranormal shows that are on, and you look at the footage and you're like, oh, come on, are you kidding? But back then,
there was
people didn't see it as much.
No, and it was easy to make a circus around something like this. They already had a name. They could say Stanford Research Institute. You even hear Johnny Carson say it. That was like they're billing that to everyone. So,
and he's got his bit. His whole bit is ready to go. He's ready for TV. Yuri Geller. Like, this is not. Yeah. It's not his first time when he does these things. You can tell he's rehearsed this shit a million times, and he's very good at the illusion for sure.
Yeah, and Johnny Carson, this wasn't his first television appearance, but it might be his worst. This is terrible. It's awful. And here he is meeting Johnny, and in front of him, though, I will say, there is a table. They put out all kind of things for him to display his powers and use, like little watches and keys and metal and spoons and everything. So let's hear.
Nice to see you. We have only met.
This scares me.
This scares you? Well, we just got some things together here, and as I said, as you progress and do what you want to do tonight, well, you can tell us what you would like to try and
Whoa. Hold on, he's just going to take me on like that?
We'll leave it up to you.
I'll try when I'll really feel up to it, okay?
That's what I understand. I have seen you on television before.